Yo, what's going on, you guys? In this episode, we're going to be delving into the powerful concept of reprogramming your mind. So if you ever felt bogged down by negative thoughts or limiting beliefs, this is going to be for you. So stay tuned, because we're going to be uncovering how you can change your mental narrative and dramatically enhance your life. Let's hop into it. All right, so many of us struggle with negative thoughts and self-doubt, which can be huge obstacles to achieving our dreams. So today, we're going to be exploring why these patterns occur and the common challenges people face in overcoming their limiting beliefs. Negative thoughts and limiting beliefs, they often originate from early childhood. In fact, science shows us that from around birth to roughly age 7 or so, when the hypothalamus gland, the one that is in charge of the memories, when that really takes shape and forms, we operate in a state very similar to hypnosis. We kind of just absorb everything, good and bad, pretty much like a sponge. That's why you sometimes hear the saying babies are sponges. They quite literally are. This is why oftentimes when you get down to the root of why a lot of people do what it is that they do, oftentimes it stems back to childhood. So the limiting beliefs that we have also can come from childhood, but it's also the unconscious thoughts acting as a defense mechanism to avoid possible negative circumstances or potentially any kind of emotions that we may have. So now, limiting beliefs I addressed way back in episode 20, way back, okay? But I'm nice, and I don't want you to go all the way back and re-listen to that episode. So I'm going to spare you the trip. In a nutshell, I talked about how constantly thinking about your limiting beliefs does nothing but solidify them further in your mind. Second, it makes you question the legitimacy of your would-be actions, so the actions that you would take or that you could take or that you should take, the woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I didn't because insert some excuse that sounds good to you and only you reason. And then also prevent you from taking any sort of momentum gaining action. So we talked about way back in episode 20, and now here we are, episode 146. And I'm preaching the same message, which means things haven't changed, which is good for you, which means there's nothing new to learn, except for these 3 effective techniques we're about to walk through to instantly shift your mindset. First one is graded exposure. You want to gradually expose yourself to a fear or anxiety-inducing situation in small, manageable steps. Now, why is this so crucial? Right? You probably heard me talk about an eye pit before. If this is your first episode, you're listening to a Motivate, Grind, Succeed. Hi, welcome. I love you. You're awesome as a listener. But if this is your first time, I talk about eye pits a lot. That is an incremental positive impact task. And the reason why that I preach that so much is because this is a method grounded in CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy, and in neuroscience. Doing these super small, incremental positive impact tasks, right? These eye pits, they help to rewire the brain over time to reduce the fear response and helps us to build up confidence. Now, I don't remember off the top of my head which episode I talked about this in, but I made this example before about public speaking. Instead of going on stage going from 0 to attempted hero with hundreds and thousands of people on the stage, you want to go about with this graded exposure. You want to go from start to talk to just 2 or 3 people. Start taking up, a leadership position in a small group where the small group is less than 10 people and you have to talk to them. Work with that. And then when that gets comfortable, because we've talked about before, don't stay in the comfort zone like that and don't stay in it too long because you will get lazy and you will become lethargic and you will not be able to improve because the brain wants you to stay there. Once you get used to that 10, up it to 15, up it to 20, 25, 30. Next thing you know, you're going to be talking in front of hundreds of people. Okay. Thankfully, I was blessed that my parents kind of cold turkeyed me and put me in front of large congregations of churches where I had to give speeches from since I was less than 10 years old. So I was exposed to this a little bit faster than graded exposure, I would say. I went from just talking in front of my mom and my dad to next thing you know, on Sunday, boom, there it is, about 150 to 200 people right there in the congregation. So I was kind of cold turkeyed into it, but for you, I don't recommend doing that because that might be a little bit of sticker shock for you. What works better is if you just gradually work yourself up to that, gradually stretching the comfort zone. Second thing that I want you to do is do a social surroundings audit. What does that mean? It means to take stock of the social interactions that you are in, part of, facilitate, whatever, and see how they affect your mindset. Okay, that still is kind of pie in the sky. What does that mean? Very simply put, whenever you talk to people, think about consciously when the conversation is done, how do you feel about that conversation? If you're talking to somebody who was a great friend of yours and then they leave, do you feel good? Do you feel sad? Do you feel angry? How do you generally feel? You'll realize some people will constantly make you feel great. And you'll think about it and you'll just go, now, was this person telling me what I want to hear or what I needed to hear? Some people will make you feel kind of awful. Same question. Was it something that I needed to hear? Or was it they were just having a bad day? Think about it. Consciously think about it. You'll be surprised how few people actually do this. You just kind of go throughout your entire life and just kind of go on autopilot. You're not really thinking closely about the conversations that you're having and how they're making you feel. You just kind of go and it is what it is. You're living life on autopilot and life's kind of passing you by. What you want to do is you want to actively seek out and engage with supportive communities that empower you. Now, this doesn't mean they're going to always make you feel good or always make you feel bad, but you want to find, again, we talked about in last week's episode about identity shifting. What you want to do is figure out what you want your future self to look like, your ideal future self. What do you want him or her to look like? I'm talking everything. How do you want them to dress? What kind of car do you want them to drive? What kind of physique do you want them to be in? What kind of job are they working? Are they an entrepreneur? Are they married? Do they have kids? Where are you living? Like everything. Figure that out and then figure out what do you need to do to be able to get there. And then you want to find people who are doing same or similar in the personal development space. Be vulnerable so you can find an accountability partner to help you to find yourself in terms of, I have found myself, like future self. I found what I want to do. Now I need you to help me to be accountable. The first thing I want to do is lose weight. The first thing I want to do is read more. The first thing I want to do is become more patient. The first thing I want to do is invest in myself. The first thing I want to do is you fill in the blank and find somebody who's going to help you to stick to that. Man, when I think about it, I've given so many examples on this in the past. I've made an ebook on this. I've made episodes dedicated to this because it's so crucial. You are the average of the 5 people that you hang around the most. And if it sounds to some longtime listeners like he's saying the same stuff that he's been saying since episode 20, it's because I am. And it is because it works. The problem is people don't work it. If you're working it, I am so happy to hear that you're working it. But if you're not working it, you need to stick with it and get an accountability partner and stop dropping these habits like a hot potato. Okay, the only way you're going to solve the problems that you have is if you take action. I don't care what the problem is. You need to take action. Let me put it to you this way. When you were in school, did you just sit on your hands to study when a test was coming around? No, you took action. You got in the books, you practiced the material, you went on YouTube, you looked up the Cliff Notes, the Spark Notes, the Thug Notes, the whatever you had to look up, okay? You went to the Patrick JMTs if you were in things like calculus, okay? You went through the Khan Academies, you went through whatever you had to do to study and understand, even if it was just to pass the class, okay? We've all been there, okay? I've been there myself many times in college. I just need to pass the class. So you study what you need to know to pass the class. You took action. You did stuff. Okay. What about martial arts? I put this example because I'm a martial artist. Did you get good at martial arts by just thinking about it? No, you had to take action. You had to get up. You had to practice. You had to spar. You had to get hit. You had to get punched in the face. You had to get kicked in the shin. You had to get potentially a bone or two bruised, potentially sprained. Because it is learning. You took action. You have to learn the muscle memory. So when you get hurt, you realize, let me not do that again. Let me block that. Let me do this. Let me do that. You took action. Just thinking about it or watching videos is not enough. I could keep going, but you get the point. Personal development is no different in terms of achieving more in your life. The only reason why you haven't done anything is because you're comfortable in what you're doing, so you see no need to change. And hey, if you're comfortable in your life, you don't want to change anything, that is perfectly fine. Seriously, I'm cool with that. If you're comfortable, you're good, you're just cruising, you're fine being on cruise control, there's nothing else you want to change, perfectly fine. You're listening to me for entertainment value, cool. You do you. I am not shaming you whatsoever. But in the same way, I better not hear you complain about what isn't working. Because if you aren't even meeting the situation, or let's say you took my advice and you have an accountability partner and you're not trying to meet your accountability partner at least halfway, you're still not putting in work. You're still not doing action. So if you're serious about changing your life, one of the first things you need to do is change your circle. Find an accountability group, find an accountability partner, join an online community. Brownie points if you can join an in-person one, because now you have the face-to-face communication, because now you have to look somebody dead in their eyes and tell them, yeah, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. That's a horrible feeling. When you have to look somebody dead in their irises, when they were looking to you, you made them a promise. You said, I promise you, I will be here next week and this will be done. And you come back. In fact, don't even think that hard. What about times when you're at work and your boss says, I need this done. Can you get this done? You said, yes, I will get this done by next week. Or maybe you're smart and you say, I will get this done when I can, or I'll add this to my plate, or I'll give you an estimate later. Or maybe you got the fancy corporate jargon down. But if your boss wants a deadline saying, I need this done by tomorrow, and then you need to get it done by tomorrow, what did you do? You didn't just sit on your hands and just do nothing and think about it. You got to work. You took action. You did, right? It's the same thing here, because what happens? What I realized is for people to move, I talk about the comfort zone a lot, but for people to move, people need to have what I'm coining as the PCR. I was going to call it CPR, but CPR is already taken. So I'm going to call it the PCR. That is the pain comfort ratio. If PCR is also taken, let me know in the comments or send me a DM and let me know that I have to revamp it yet again. But it's PCR, pain comfort ratio. If you haven't written that down or taken a note on it or something, however you want to take your notes, take note of that. Pain comfort ratio. Pain comfort ratio leans on the concept of the comfort zone. Everybody has a level of comfort that they're at right now. Otherwise, they would be doing something to change it. The only way somebody is going to move and take change into their own hands and start doing things like accountability groups / accountability partners, actually start taking action towards their goals, if the pain that they are experiencing in a certain area or holistically in their life is greater than the amount of comfort that they have right now. The pain is so great, they just need some relief. That is when they move. Think about it this way. When you go, you're probably someone who's like me and is not so quick to run to the doctor for everything, because the pain that you are experiencing has not crossed a threshold that says, I need to go bring this up to the doctor. Now, different people have different pain thresholds. I mean, me personally, I have a decently high pain threshold. So it takes me a little bit longer for me to go call the doctor or something like that versus me just taking some over-the-counter medicine like ibuprofen or something. But in personal development, you know, I have a pretty low pain threshold. I don't really like being, and it's weird because it's almost inverted. I have a very low pain threshold in terms of the comfort I experience in life. If I'm getting comfortable, I've already identity shifted, to reference last week's episode, myself to realize if I'm getting too comfortable, there's something wrong. That means I need to go back to my other concept of life being a sine wave. If I'm in a comfort zone, that means that I'm probably at a high point in life, which is great. And it's great that I can enjoy that. But that also means I need to be on alert for anything that could potentially start indicating a downward swing. So even though I am enjoying this time and relaxing and chilling, I need to be prepared for whatever is upcoming. Same thing here with personal development, right? That's my pain comfort ratio. It's always in flux. It's always in flow. So the same thing for you. You need to find that pain comfort ratio. And unfortunately, unlike math, there is no number here. There's no, oh, your comfort's at level of 1 and your pain's at level of 0.8, because that number is subjective person to person. But you need to understand, what is the point in your life where if you were to experience this, what is that needle that breaks the camel's back? What is it that causes you to say, throw your hands up in the air, sometimes saying, ayo, I need some help, okay? Leave a thumbs up if you got that reference. Final thing that I want to bring to you, the way to reprogram your brain, the third way, is cognitive reframing. Just like how it's up to you to choose to do the last technique of what we just talked about, which is the social surroundings audit, it is also your choice to do a cognitive reframe. And so what is a cognitive reframe? A cognitive reframe is learning to identify and change negative thought patterns by actively challenging them and replacing them with positive alternatives. Plain Jane terms, instead of living life on autopilot and saying, this thing sucks, this situation sucks, this is garbage, I don't like them, instead of letting that be your natural de facto, instead challenge it. Does this whole situation actually suck, or does this specific 20% part of it suck? Does, oh my gosh, I hate this job. Do you actually hate the job, or do you just hate this specific part of the job? Because if you hate the job, that means you hate the commute, you hate the building, you hate the bathroom, you hate the floor, you hate the people, you see where I'm going with this? Is it just a specific, once you can narrow it down and you find what specifically the problem is, then and only then can you then start to cognitively reframe and do as what they say in church for God knows how long, count your blessings. And you'll realize the amount of negative that's there does not exceed the positive. Because if it does, the negative exceeds the positive. Now we're going back into my PCR concept, the pain comfort ratio. So now the pain is so great, chances are you're already taking action of, again, sticking with the job example, of finding something else, trying to find or finding a side hustle that can get you out so you don't have to be working at the job that you don't like anymore. See how this is working? But to stick strictly with cognitive reframing, what I want to bring up with this is specifically limiting beliefs. That's where this comes in. A lot of the times when we have these negative thoughts or we have these specific kind of things that go on in our head, a lot of times it's limiting beliefs. And limiting beliefs are really, as we talked about before, they come from sometimes childhood, but sometimes it comes from just our unconscious mind not wanting us to experience what it perceives as potential danger. And so what I did was, I went back through my archive of podcast episodes, and because I was thinking as I was putting this episode together, I'm pretty sure I talked about this somewhere, and you probably know where I'm going with this. I talked about in the beginning of this episode 20, I talked about limiting beliefs, and I actually found the script and the recording, so I'm actually going to play it for you. But before I do, I'm going to say verbatim right now what I said in episode 20, just to show you that the information is still good. So what I said in episode 20 is, think about the legitimacy of your beliefs. Do you really think that all you were destined to be is what you are now? Those thoughts are not legitimate. And the more you dwell on them, they become more solidified. And even if you don't truly believe them, your quality of life will suffer. As Lao Tzu said, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words as they become your actions. Watch your actions as they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. In fact, just for fun, I'm going to actually throw it up right now. If you're watching on YouTube, I was not filming a video at the time, so I'll just throw up a stationary image. But here is actually that part from episode 20 verbatim. To take this back to a famous person that a lot of people have probably heard of, Lao Tzu. He said, and to people who have gone to school for a while, you probably saw this on a poster, or you probably read this on the internet somewhere. It says, watch your thoughts. They become your words. Watch your words. They become your actions.
watch your actions, they become your habits, and watch your habits as they become your character.
So, to finish all this out, each of these things can be implemented into your daily routine to help you foster a positive mindset and help you open up new possibilities if you remember the phrase ease, okay? Because reprogramming your mind, you can do it instantly if you just choose to say, I'm going to adopt this today. Boom, you've already kickstarted the process. But if you're not someone who wants to just be like, all right, I want this quick, fast, in a hurry, you want to ease your way in. That's why the mnemonic for today is ease. The first E, expose gradually. Isn't that one of the topics that we talked about? Yeah, you want to gradually face your fears and the anxiety-inducing situations in controlled I-pit steps. Again, public speaking. If it causes you anxiety, start by speaking to a small group of people, or even better yet, a mirror, or do what I do all the time and just talk to the air. Talk it out loud. See how it feels. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I'm talking to air into a camera in a microphone. So just do that. Talk to the air. Will you look a little crazy? Probably, but do it inside the comfort of your own home. Do it in your car. Practice what you're going to say. The more you practice it, the more it becomes comfortable, the easier it'll be and become basically muscle memory, well, mental muscle memory when you actually have to do it. Audit your surroundings, the social surroundings audit. Evaluate and adjust your social interactions. If you find that certain gatherings are making you feel negative and depressed and just like these people aren't talking about anything fun, these people aren't talking about anything that's like helping me out, decrease your attendance, or better yet, just stop going. That's what I found a lot of times too. That's why partially, in fact, real quick story, because we're getting to the end of the episode here. When I was in high school, and anybody who went to high school with me, they know this very much so. I really didn't go to any parties. I adamantly did not go to homecoming or prom because I found no purpose myself in going. There was no use for me to go. And I don't feel ever like I missed anything. Because to me, I felt like, what am I really going to be doing there that's really going to help me out? I mean, I'm going to go. I mean, okay, there's going to be food. There's going to be dancing. There's going to be a good time hanging out with other people in high school, which is cool. But in my head, I'm like, I see you guys every day. I don't need to go spend money and go to this extra event to go see you guys again. Like I'm going to see you guys tomorrow after this is all done. Like what's the whole thing? And so to me, the party scene was never really my scene. And then when I got older and I actually started attending a couple more parties to be like, maybe let me just see and confirm or deny to myself if I was missing out on something. So I went to a couple parties, especially at business events. They'd have some parties and whatnot. I'd go. And yeah, I didn't miss out on anything. It was just a nicer event because I already don't drink. That might be one of the problems, that I don't drink. I don't know. But I don't drink. I don't ever plan on drinking either. I don't need that stuff. So my thing is maybe that was part of the problem. They let loose, they do their thing. But me, that's just not what I do. That was never of interest to me. So for me, those kind of events, unless for me, I'm actually going and I'm actually doing something productive, it's not really the best use of my time. Personally, at least to me. Now, you could be of a completely different caliber and you just say you love going to parties. By all means, go ahead. Don't even listen to me. But for me, I'm not a big party goer. I don't really see the big point in going to a whole bunch of parties all the time. But that's just me. So for me, with the audit surroundings, I know when someone says, let's go to a party, my first question is, what are we going to be doing? Who's going to be there? Because if it's just going to be a party just because you're bored or you're just throwing something on, I'm not going because I have other stuff to do. Right? Because for me, I'm just like, I could have used that time to do something else more productive. Third letter of the ease mnemonic is shift perspectives. You want to change the way that you interpret and respond to situations, which is, again, the cognitive reframing. You want to shift and change the way you interpret and respond to situations. Instead of saying, oh, I'll never be good at this. Really? Will you really never be good at this? You weren't good at walking, but now you're walking. You weren't good at talking, but now you're talking. You weren't good at breathing. In fact, you spent 9 months inside of your mother not breathing. I would argue to say, if you're listening to me, you're pretty good at breathing right now. So instead of saying you're not good at this and you'll never be good at this, reframe it. Cognitive reframe, but it has to be a choice to reframe to saying, I'm improving at this every time I practice. Mistakes are a part of learning. Failure is proof that I am trying. And lastly, the last E, enhance awareness. This one kind of ties all of the things back together, and that you want to increase your self-awareness. You want to understand, okay, what is it that I'm experiencing right now? For example, the shift perspectives. What is it that I'm experiencing right now? What am I telling myself right now? I'll never be good at this. How is that benefiting me at this point in time? It's not. So I need to change that. I need to reframe that. Is it the surrounding that I'm in, which is causing me to think that I'll never be able to get out of this rut? I need to change that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be good at just cutting these people off, which we're going to actually have an episode in the future within a week or two actually about this. But I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this. It's going to be such a cold turkey thing. Expose yourself gradually to an accountability group or an accountability partner. Say, hey, I'm just getting out of this bad circle. I want to be able to start bettering my life, but I don't know where to start. Gradual exposure, gradual shift over. But it all comes from enhancing your awareness. So remember, guys, your mind is your greatest asset, but left unchecked, it is your greatest liability. So the power to change your mind really does lie within you. As I've been alluding to this whole episode, it comes down to you. You need to make the choice to change your life. You need to make the choice to say, I'm going to make change. You need to make the choice, I'm going to start taking action today. I'm going to keep pushing boundaries. I'm going to keep reshaping my reality until I get to the state that I want to get to in life. Choice is yours. What are you going to choose? Catch you all in the next one.
And guys, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Motivate, Grind, Succeed, the podcast. Guys, again, if you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to the show for weekly uploads. If you love what you heard, be sure to sign up for that email list. And if you hated what you heard, be sure to share it with somebody who will appreciate it. Also, if you guys want to get access to the show notes or any kind of resource or link or to anything that was referenced in this episode, be sure to check out that episode description below. You'll also find the contact information, any freebies, or any sort of thing from our little corner of the internet. Check out the episode description. It's going to be an absolute gold mine for you guys. Until next time, take care, and I will see you in the next episode.